What's up, guys? It's Frankie from Reels Financial. Today we're going to talk about the top 3 things you should know before you start investing. The first thing you must have is have an emergency fund in place. This is very important to the new investors because you always have to plan ahead just in case something happens, and you always have money on the side just in case you get laid off from your job, or you have a unexpected trip you need to do, or a family emergency. Your emergency fund needs to be at least, in my opinion, about 3 to 6 months just to cover your expenses, your liabilities. Like for myself personally, I quit my job 2 weeks ago. So I had an emergency fund in place where I didn't have to work for the next 3 months, 3 to 4 months. So I had that in place, and I knew that before I started investing that I needed to have an emergency fund before I needed to start investing, just in case I didn't like my job no more, or I wanted to move on to things that are better, or I just want to start my own YouTube channel to teach people the ways I did. So this emergency fund is very important. It's my top priority you should have before you start investing. Once again, this emergency fund needs to cover at least 3 months of your expenses. So if you have a car payment, it needs to cover that. Your insurance, it needs to cover that. Your food, your gym pass, anything you spend monthly, you should at least have 3 months. So this means if you go jobless for the next 3 months, you have enough money to get by for the next 3 months. That's my top priority before you start investing. The second thing you must have is you're supposed to have knowledge in whatever you start investing, whether it's in real estate, stocks, or you just decide to start your own business. You always have to knowledge yourself, because when you invest your money, there's always a possibility you might lose it. So the more knowledge you have, that means the higher chance you have to succeed in that aspect, whether again you're doing real estate, stocks, or you're starting your own business. Me personally, I usually spend about 2 hours a day just researching stocks, knowledging myself, always trying to improve myself, reading balance sheets, the 10Qs, whatever the CEOs has to say. I always try to knowledge myself as much as I can, because that gives me the chance to have a higher chance of success rate. So please knowledge yourself before you start investing. You don't have to be in a rush. Remember, the investing, you have a whole year. You can invest next year, but just take your time. Make sure you guys know what you guys are doing before you start investing. Just don't start throwing money around in different parts of businesses or real estate, and then you're gonna end up losing your money. I don't want that to happen to you guys. I did that mistake my first year as I started investing. As I talked about in my last video, I did not have enough knowledge on the stocks my first year, and I ended up losing $3,000. I was thankful enough that throughout the years I have gained a lot of knowledge, and I have gained that money back, and I have done really well in the previous 2 years. So please knowledge yourself before you start investing. That's a really, really important thing you should do. Just take your time. If you have questions, you guys can let me know at Reels Financial. If you guys have any questions about stocks, I'm willing to help you guys. The reason why I started YouTube is just I want to knowledge people. So if you guys have any questions about stocks or anything, just feel free to hit me up at Reels Financial, Reels_Financial on Instagram. But if you do real estate, I do not have like a lot of knowledge in that. I'm currently learning on it, but I do not have a lot of knowledge on it. So just knowledge yourself, and whatever you guys are gonna do, have a lot of information. You guys would know if you guys have a lot of knowledge when you guys could teach another person the things you know. The third thing you have to have before you start investing is have a realistic goal. Don't have like a far-fetched goal that you know it's almost impossible to reach, because then you're gonna just put yourself down and you're gonna think you're a failure when you're not a failure. No one's a failure in this world. So just have a realistic goal. Like for me in the stock market, the average rate of return is 8%. So 8% of a year is the S&P 500. So my realistic goal was always to beat the 8% a year, which in the last 2 years I had beat it by nearly doubled. I think my rate of return is 16% last year, and 2 years ago was 16%, and last year was 39%. So that was my realistic goal. So I always had this goal, and I knew it was a realistic goal just because 8% is the S&P 500, and you just put your money there and it just works for you. You really don't have to do much. But for me, since I'm a knowledgeable person in the stock market, I have a lot of knowledge, so I always like to challenge myself. So my realistic goal was always to be 8% a year. Always try to do better. Now, if your realistic goal for the real estate is to just keep building, like increase your rents or stuff like that, that's something realistic for you guys to do. Again, I'm not that knowledgeable in the real estate business, but that's a realistic goal you guys can have. Have more transients or stuff like that. So if you have a business, you know, you want to have sales growth every year to year sales growth. That's a realistic goal. But please, if you're in the stock market, don't think like, oh, I'm gonna double my money within a year. That's not a realistic goal. I mean, people could do it, but it's very risky when you do day trading or swing trading. Personally, I don't do that. I do long-term investments because I think that's the way to go. You get taxed less at the end of the year as well. So that's one of the big parts why I do long-term investing. So these are my top 3 things you should know, you should have. So please hit the like button, the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And please follow me on Instagram, reels_financial. Please have a wonderful day.